This is just being truthful. You want BAFTA is about honesty, isn't it? Truth in the British way. I'm sorry, bro. These questions is wild. My first what? Hi, I'm Ryan Coogler, and these are my film firsts with BAFTA. Okay, so the first film that I remember seeing was Boys in the Hood. It came out in '91, and I was born in 1986, so I was way too young to see it. But my dad took me anyway. We went to the Grand Lake Theater in Oakland, California, and I remember it like it was yesterday. Whew! First time I watched Rocky. This is gonna surprise people, but the first time I watched Rocky, I was actually in film school. It would have been 2008, and this is for a very specific reason. My father's favorite movie in the world is Rocky 2. So we, as a family, watched Rocky 2. You know, I don't know how many times, and we would buy my father the pack. You know, we bought it for him on VHS, then we bought it for him on DVD, then we bought it for him on Blu-ray for Father's Days, whenever they would come out. And we would have all of the movies, but we really would watch them from Rocky 2 on. I would leave Rocky alone until I started getting serious about learning how to be a filmmaker, and I was realizing that was maybe when I should take a hard look at it. So I watched the Alverson film, the first Alverson film, when I was like a grown man, you know, and was really like profoundly moved by it. So the first superhero franchise I remember engaging with as a kid was gonna actually be Batman. I love the Batman movies, love the Tim Burton movies, and the ones that followed after. And I remember, you know, watching the films and then begging my parents to take me to McDonald's or Burger King, get the Happy Meal with the toy and the cup. And you know, those I had very very formative experiences for me. I was introduced to the movies actually before the comic books for Batman. Crazy enough, but to be honest with you, I loved them all, man. I loved all of that pop culture stuff. Like the Ninja Turtles movies was my heart. Power Rangers, I watched that after school, and then go to the movies. He-Man, you know, all of that stuff. That was you know, that was like fastball over the plate marketed towards me and my friends. So I ate it all up. The first time I think I knew filmmaking would be my career was when I got my fourth job, which would be the film that just came out, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Before that, I was not really sure. Each time I was like, yo, I'm gonna get fired for this movie, or I'll never work in this town again. And now I think recently I've been able to feel like, okay, I might be doing this for an extended period of time. The first filmmaker that I started looking up to when I was growing up, it's a complicated question for me, because it was really like two that I admired. It was Spike Lee and John Singleton, and they were the two filmmakers whose films I remember seeing first. Like my first theatrical experience that I remember that was formative for me was Boys in the Hood, and it was closely followed by Malcolm X. And I came up, you know, late 80s, early 90s, and Spike was kind of like inescapable at the time in terms of pop culture, black culture. You see him on the sideline of the basketball games, and he was actually in the Michael Jordan commercials, in the Nike commercials as his character, Morris Blackman. Like for us, that was what a director looked like. You know, I had no idea what Steven Spielberg looked like, or Stanley Kubrick, or you know, Billy Wilder, or any of these folks. You know what I mean? Like these are people who, like at that time, if they were like next to me buying something at the grocery store, I'll walk past them. You know, but Spike Lee and John Singleton, we knew what those guys looked like. Spike especially, but John, me being from California, we feel like he told our stories. So he was who people would talk about. First film I ever shot is a tricky one, because I actually didn't remember shooting it, but it was when I was in about the 8th grade. We had to do a project on George Orwell's Animal Farm. One of my buddies, Terrence Tyrell, had a video camera, and I somehow convinced him to let us shoot a movie. And we shot it at my parents' house in Richmond, California. And I did like a stop motion thing, crazy enough, with little army characters for when the Animal Farm was raided by the humans. I think I put a volcano in there with baking soda and vinegar for no reason. There was no volcano in Animal Farm, but it was definitely in the movie. I remember that because the film went out of being stop motion and it became like regular motion, and the volcano exploded for some reason. I might have just wanted to impress my classmates, I guess. That would have been like 98. I can't remember not knowing that cinema and film would be an influence on my life. my family would engage in the ritual of going to the movies and sitting on the couch watching stuff for as long as I can remember. One of my favorite memories, with being at home with my parents and my brothers would be over the holidays. We had the Sci-Fi channel back in the States, and whenever it was New Year's Eve and day, they would have this tradition of playing Twilight Zone marathons. The Rod Sterling Twilight Zones, man, just brilliant filmmaking and film language. Just in the tradition of Hitchcock and that suspense with that science fiction bent and social commentary that Rod Sterling brought. We would just be glued to the TV, man, like for those days while that was happening as a family unit. And it kind of never changed for us. This is way before I knew filmmaking would be a career of mine. It was something that I was engaging with.